we interrupt our regularly scheduled program for a special message from Collector's Confessions co-founder, Brian. Enjoy.
I'm going to be reading a prepared statement, and I will be taking questions afterwards in the comment section below. So if you have any questions, don't forget to post them after the end of this video. Thank you. Right now, I'm supposed to be talking about Swamp Thing. At this moment, you should be watching me discuss and analyze and explain the first ongoing series about Old Swampy. I had planned to talk about the introduction of themes and characters from the 1972 to 1976 run by Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson, and how those characters and themes led to tremendous changes in both the Swamp Thing mythos and in the history of comics in general. As you probably have now realized, this is not just what is happening. You see, I've been working on the Swamp Thing script for about 2 weeks.
Excuse me? 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
At the time of this recording, and have made very little progress. For some reason I couldn't quite identify, the scripting of this follow-up episode to my analysis of the character's first appearance in House of Secrets 92 has been difficult and even, at times, impossible. I've had blocks while writing other things for the show, but this one feels different. It has resisted all the usual tricks I usually use on myself to break a block, and every approach I try at the topic dies on the page. I've spent a lot of time studying the nuts and bolts of writing, even if some of my work here might not always reflect it, and I know that a resistant block like this one indicates some sort of subconscious issue. Something down in the basement of the psyche trying to gain attention by sticking its slimy claw into the machinery that runs the mill. Is that a mixed metaphor? Yeah, whatever. So what do? We must feed the content monster, right? There isn't really time in the fast-paced world of contemporary media to sit back and think through this stuff, is there? Wait, is there? Maybe there should be. Indulge me for a few minutes while I think this through. I didn't get involved with this channel to make money or gain attention. Don't get me wrong, if either of those things happened, I'd be pleased as punch. But they aren't my primary motivations. When Chad asked me to join in on this venture, I was simply excited to share my passion for things I love, like comic books and old toys and movies, with anyone who would care to listen. I am an enthusiastic geek about a lot of things, and if you sit still near me long enough, I might drive you halfway insane by blabbing on about a multitude of topics usually unfit for an adult dinner party. It's not that I can't talk about adult topics. I'm actually pretty well read and keep up with the issues of the day. It's that if given the choice to discuss economics and the shrinking of the middle class, or how women should have complete autonomy over their bodies, or that everyone should be treated with respect no matter their color, sexual orientation, or gender identity, all things I strongly agree with, or to go over the nostalgic memories of some old bit of pop culture ephemera, I usually opt for the latter. I'm not saying this is right. It's just the way I am. This is a compulsion and one I stopped trying to analyze or reduce a long time ago. Maybe it's that I think of my political beliefs as a foregone conclusion and don't see how these beliefs could be debated because I feel they're based in plain old common decency and mutual respect. Of course, all people should be treated with dignity and respect. Why even discuss it? Now, how do you feel about the work of Chuck Jones? Okay, Brian, I hear you saying, I'm with you so far, but what does this have to do with writer's block or Swamp Thing or the reason I'm here, which is to listen to two guys talk about pop culture? Jesus, Brian, what the fuck? My time is valuable. Yes, you're right. Just calm down a minute, I'm working toward my main point. Even though I didn't get involved with this for money or attention, I would still like something that Chad and I put so much work into to be successful. And in my definition of that word, it means putting out the highest quality content that we can. I'm confident that what we do is the best we can do at the moment, but there's always room for improvement. There's nothing wrong with constantly trying to revise and hone any creative endeavor, and I do think of what we do as creativity, until it meets the highest possible personal standards. The way I've been trying to improve my own writing for the channel is by watching lots and lots of other YouTubers who do something similar to what we're trying to achieve here. And there is no shortage of talented folks for doing really incredible work about movies and comics and toys and music and other stuff I fill my spare time with. I mean, just go check out someone like Secret Galaxy if you doubt me, or watch any episode of Comic Tropes or Panels to Pixels. In fact, speaking of Panels to Pixels, Josh did a new episode talking about 20 of the best comic book channels on YouTube, and it's a treasure trove for anyone interested in discussing pop culture or just deepening the love we already have for these things. I highly recommend it. Now, here's where I get to my main point, and yes, I do hear your sigh of relief.
Thank you.
Watching creators working at the top of their game is a great way to find examples of how to improve your own work, but there's a risk involved. When you absorb a lot of other people's work and you have a high respect for what they do and you want to improve what you do, you run the risk of falling into the trap of imitation. You watch the way other creators do something and you analyze what makes it work, and you end up just repeating what they've done and forgetting to include your own individual style or expression, or, I don't know, call it a soul. Making matters worse, YouTube and its inscrutable algorithm make this trap even easier to fall into than it always was. The algorithm rewards repetition and imitation and lack of deviation from a formula, and let me tell you, that's all I've been able to figure out about it. Trying to understand how the algorithm works is like trying to communicate with a vast, machine-like alien intelligence that barely understands the most basic facts about human thinking. It loves the same thing, repeated ad infinitum, and it can easily categorize and push out to the same crowds again and again and again. It's the opposite of creativity and exploration and curiosity, which are, to me, the most enjoyable things about any creative work. So, if I could return to my possibly mixed metaphor about the creature in the subconscious basement and name it, I would call it imitation. While writing the Swamp Thing script, you should be watching right now instead of watching me read these notes. I've been carrying around in my head all the videos I've watched, all the checklists I've read, all that I can understand about the algorithm, and I've been trying to appease all of them at once, and it has leached the joy from my effort. Instead of sharing something I'm passionate about, I've been trying to write like someone I'm not, to please a master who barely notices I exist at all. As creative people, we need to make things to please one person and one person alone, ourselves. If we start to try and please a specific audience or an algorithm, we are no longer making art, we are making product. If that's what you want to do and you do it well, more power to you. I wish you all the success in the world, but I can't do it. I realize that now, and this might be a strange thing for someone at my advanced age to have just realized. Yes, I know I'm only 50, but in YouTube years, that means I've been dead for 2 decades. What does this mean going forward? Well, first and foremost, I think it means fuck the algorithm. I'm never going to understand it, and it doesn't reward real curiosity, variety, and exploration. So I might just have to start ignoring it for my own creative good. Also, I have to take what's useful from the wonderful creators I've studied and the literary and journalistic influences I've absorbed, and run them through a more personal, more individual filter. Throw all this grist into the mill and just find out what comes out on the other side. If it doesn't look like what other people do, or it doesn't fit into the structure of this platform, it means I won't be as successful as others, then so be it. At least it won't feel like another job where I'm trying to please someone who honestly doesn't care about me beyond how they can profit from my work. Finally, if you could relate to any of this or know someone who can relate to this, or is involved in the struggle to be creative in our current hyper-capitalized environment, let me know in the comments and let your creative friends know about this and encourage them to comment. I'd love for my thoughts here, random and disorganized as they might be, and read off of a piece of paper, which is a YouTube no-no, I know, to spark a conversation about creativity and finding an individual voice in an increasingly homogeneous world controlled by machine thinking. And as always, love what you collect what you love. Further, make what you love. The world will be better for it. That's the end of my statement. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below, and I'll see you next time.